Welcome. If you're here, it's because you want to get straight to the important stuff, understand the big picture on complex topics, but, without feeling totally swamped.
And that's exactly our aim.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into something that feels a bit like science fiction, honestly, but it's becoming very real, very fast. Deepfakes.
hmm And for this one, we've pulled together some really interesting sources. There's a technical paper from looking at things like watermarking. And
Okay.
we've got articles from God Shield blogs, Brookings, the CDO Times. They're looking more at the sort of societal impact, the security side.
Right, the bigger picture.
Exactly. And finally, a paper from SSRN that really digs into how deepfakes challenge our whole idea of truth online.
Okay, so quite a range. Our mission here is to pull out the key insights from all of these. We want to get a handle on what deepfakes actually are, the real threats, maybe how we can spot them.
Yeah, and what's being done or what could be done. Basically clarity and some practical takeaways.
Perfect. Let's dive in then. So first things first. What is a deepfake? What are we actually talking about here?
Okay, so fundamentally, deepfakes are pieces of media, videos, audio, images that have been manipulated
Manipulated how?
using really sophisticated AI, artificial intelligence and machine learning. It's AI being used to realistically change what we see or hear.
So this isn't just like Photoshop or basic video editing. We're talking something more advanced.
Oh, way beyond that. Yeah. Think
Yeah.
face swapping, putting someone's face onto a different body seamlessly, or
Wow.
cloning someone's voice, making it sound exactly like them, even making it look like someone did something they never actually did in a video. The key is the realism AI can achieve now.
And I gather this tech wasn't always seen as, well, threatening. It had other uses.
That's right. Initially, yeah, some of it was for fun, for entertainment, creative stuff.
Okay.
But the technology's gotten so much better and, crucially, easier to access. And that's where the potential for misuse really ramps up. That's the concern now.
Right. And those concerns sound pretty serious. What kind of damage are we actually talking about? What harm can these things do?
Well, it's pretty broad, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Our sources really highlight a few big areas. One huge one is just spreading misinformation fast.
Like fake news on steroids?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Imagine fake videos in politics or fake news reports, stuff designed to sway opinions or just confuse everyone about what's real. Social media just amplifies that massively.
Yeah. You can see how that would work?
And fundamentally, it chips away at,
Yeah.
well, it's our shared sense of reality. If we can't agree on basic facts because the evidence might be faked, that's a problem.
It really hits that whole seeing is believing thing, doesn't it?
Exactly that. Brookings points out how deepfakes play on our natural trust in what we see, turning fiction into something that feels like fact.
Mm.
And maybe even worse, as people become aware of deepfakes, they might start distrusting everything online, even genuine videos or images, which makes finding the actual truth even harder.
Yeah, that's a tricky side effect. The CDO Times article had some pretty stark examples, like a fake video of a leader declaring war.
Right. Or a manufactured scandal crashing a company's sauce.
Stuff with massive real-world
Oh,
consequences.
precisely. And because it's getting easier to make these fakes, and they're so convincing, well, it breeds this general digital mistrust. Shield blogs notes this too. The easier the tech gets, the bigger the problem.
Okay, so if they're getting that good, how on earth do we tell what's real anymore? It sounds like a massive challenge.
It really is. Yeah. All our sources agree on that. Even experts are finding it harder and harder to spot the best fakes.
Wow.
Shield calls it a cat and mouse game, which feels pretty accurate. The creators get better, then the detectives try to catch up, and so on.
So we might need to just accept that we can't always trust what we see or hear online.
That might be part of it. Shifting from assuming authenticity to needing verification,
Mm.
building resilience maybe, rather than relying purely on detection.
Because detection is always playing catch-up.
That's the dynamic, yeah. Brookings points out that current tools just aren't perfect, and probably never will be against the very latest fakes.
That's a little worrying. But there are technological approaches being worked on, right? What kinds of tools are being developed?
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of work going on.
Yeah.
One major area is using AI itself to fight back.
Using AI to detect AI fakes?
Exactly. Algorithms trained to look for tiny giveaways,
Yep.
things like weird pixel patterns, unnatural movements, flicker, stuff that humans might miss, but an AI detector could flag.
And Brookings mentioned some specific research, didn't they? Like looking at image resolution.
Yes, Siwei Liu's work. Finding tiny inconsistencies in resolution when faces are swapped. Even tiny differences can be a clue.
Okay.
And Edward Delp using neural networks to spot inconsistencies between video frames, like does the lighting change unnaturally from one frame to the next?
Right.
And then there's research from UC Riverside in Santa Barbara looking for signs of digital tampering, like scaling, rotation, splicing, basically looking for the digital seams.
It sounds like digital forensics almost.
It really is, yeah. And then there are other approaches too. Digital watermarking, embedding hidden data into media to prove it's authentic. The IE paper and Gauze Shield both mention this.
Like a digital seal of approval.
Sort of. Or blockchain verification, creating a secure, unchangeable record of a piece of media, like a digital fingerprint that's really hard to fake.
So using tech to build trust back into the system.
That's the idea. And we should also mention DARPA, the U.S. Defense Research Agency. They have a big program called Media Forensics, specifically aimed at developing tech to spot manipulated images and videos automatically.
Okay, so lots of smart people working on the tech side. But Brookings raised a good point. Even if we have these tools, will people trust the detectors any more than they trust the deepfakes?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah. What if different tools give different answers?
Exactly. It's not just about accuracy, it's about public confidence. And getting everyone to use the same standards, well, that's another big hurdle. We're not there yet.
It's definitely complex. Okay, what about the law? Are there existing laws that can tackle deepfake problems?
Well, the legal side is tricky too, as Brookings lays out. There are existing laws that might apply. Things like copyright, right of publicity.
Protecting someone's image, right?
Exactly. Or defamation, false advertising laws, things like that. So if a deepfake harms someone, there might be legal tools already available.
So someone could potentially sue if they're harmed by a deepfake.
In theory, yes.
Yeah.
But there are also strong protections for speech, like the First Amendment in the U.S., and things like fair use for copyright, or Section 230 shielding platforms.
Ah, right. Section 230.
Yeah. So it creates this tension, protecting people versus protecting free expression. It's a balancing act.
So drafting new laws specifically for deepfakes is hard.
Very hard. Brookings mentioned a Senate bill that stalled, partly because some experts, like Orrin Kerr, argued it might just be making things illegal that were, well, already illegal.
Redundant, basically.
Potentially, yeah. You want laws that actually add something useful without accidentally chilling legitimate speech or creative work.
Makes sense. You need precision.
Right. And the article also touched on a New York bill about digital replicas and persona as property. That got pushback from, like, the entertainment industry. Disney, for example, worried it could stop them making films about real people, which is usually protected speech.
Okay.
So the legal system is definitely grappling with it. It's probably still too early to say if the current laws are enough or what new ones might look like.
Right. So tech and law are pieces, but not the whole solution. The sources also stress public awareness, don't they?
Hugely important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brookings really emphasizes this. Tech and laws won't be enough on their own. We, as the public, need to get better at spotting suspicious stuff, being a bit more skeptical about what we see online.
Develop a critical eye.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because things spread so fast online, right? By the time lawyers get involved, the damage might be widespread.
The video's already gone viral.
Precisely. Relying only on after-the-fact legal fixes just isn't enough when things move that quickly. Though, on a slightly positive note, Brookings does suggest that often reliable evidence debunking a fake does tend to emerge pretty quickly from online communities.
Like crowdsourced fact-checking.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
But we could also help ourselves. The CDO Times article had some really practical tips for spotting fakes, didn't it?
Yeah, that was useful. What were some of those?
Things like looking for unnatural movements, weird facial expressions, jerky body language, mouth movements that don't quite sync with the audio.
Okay, glitches.
Right. Inconsistent lighting or shadows, eyes that don't blink normally or seem to move strangely. Audio problems too, a distorted voice, or maybe the tone just doesn't match the facial expression. But their main point was always try to fact check with trusted sources. Don't just take a viral video at face value. They're things we can all actually do.
That's good practical advice. Things to watch out for. It's about training ourselves, really. Now let's shift focus a bit. It's not just individuals at risk, right? Deepfakes are a big threat for organizations, too.
Oh, definitely. Both Gauze Shield and CDO Times cover this. A huge risk is impersonation for social engineering.
Like faking the CEO's voice.
Exactly. Imagine getting a seemingly real video call or voice message from your boss asking for an urgent money transfer or sensitive data. That could be devastating.
Wow, yeah, that's a massive security hole.
Absolutely. And beyond that, Fakes can be used to just trash a company's reputation. Fake videos showing scandals, fake audio recordings.
Spreading lies to hurt the brand or stock price.
Precisely. Or even using them in more targeted phishing attacks. It exploits trust within an organization, too.
So companies really need to be on guard.
For sure. They need strong cybersecurity, yes, but also things like training employees to spot these tactics and clear plans for what to do if they are targeted.
Right. And what about us? Just as regular people, how can we protect our own information from being misused in deepfakes?
Yeah, Guy Shield had some good tips there too. Basically, be more careful about what you share publicly online, especially photos and videos, particularly high-resolution ones.
Limit the source material, essentially.
Kind of, yeah. Check your privacy settings on social media, be wary of random friend requests, maybe use custom friend lists to control who sees what. Just generally monitor your online presence. Use two-factor authentication, that's always good advice. Stay informed about deepfakes. And report misuse if you see it. It's about being more mindful of your digital footprint.
Being digitally savvy, taking control.
Pretty much.
Okay. And what if the worst happens? What if someone finds their image or voice has been used in a deepfake? What then?
Gay Shield outlines some steps for that too. First, document everything. Screenshots, URLs, save the evidence.
Okay.
Then, report it to the platform hosting it, YouTube, Facebook, wherever. Consider getting legal advice to understand your options. If it's serious harassment or threats, contact law enforcement. It's also good to let your friends and network know, so they're aware. And definitely review and tighten up your own online security again. Plus, educating yourself and others, maybe even advocating for better laws, are longer-term actions.
Sounds like a comprehensive response is needed. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the negatives, but it's not all bad, is it? The tech itself can be used for good.
That's a fair point, and yeah, Guy Shield does mention this. The underlying tech can be used positively. Things like entertainment, obviously, dubbing movies into other languages really well,
Okay.
making voice assistants sound more natural, accessibility tools for people with disabilities, even things like historical preservation, maybe recreating voices from the past, or for training simulations, education, language learning.
So lots of potential creative and helpful uses.
Definitely. Content creation generally. The key, as always, is how it's used, responsibly and ethically. It's a tool, and tools can build or break things.
Right. A powerful tool with both potential benefits and risks. And it seems clear that the easier AI tools become to access, the more this deepfake threat grows.
Absolutely. Gad Shield confirms that. The democratization of AI, while good in some ways, definitely makes it easier for bad actors to create convincing fakes, which just heightens all those concerns about truth, privacy, and trust we've been discussing.
And finally, that SSRN paper suggested some other potential policy ideas beyond just tech detection in current laws.
Yeah, it floated a couple of broader concepts. One was mandatory labeling for any AI-generated content.
So you'd always know if something wasn't made by a human.
That's the idea. Just clear transparency. It also mentioned something called deep packet inspection, DPI firewalls, as a potential way to filter out malicious deepfakes network-wide. Though, it's worth stressing, that was presented as a proposal in the source, not like a universally agreed-upon solution.
Understood. But the general goal is finding ways to reduce the harm, right?
Exactly. Finding ways to mitigate the manipulation while still trying to protect free expression. It's that tricky balance against security versus openness.
Well, this has been fascinating and maybe a little bit sobering, too. A really deep dive into deepfakes. Let's maybe try and quickly recap the main takeaways.
Okay, so deepfakes. They're AI-driven, manipulated media, getting scarily realistic. The potential for harm, misinformation, fraud, eroding trust is huge and growing.
Right. And detecting them. It's a massive challenge, this constant tech arms race.
The legal side is complicated, still trying to catch up, balancing protection with free speech.
And crucially, technology and law aren't enough on their own. Public awareness, skepticism, critical thinking, those are vital.
Absolutely. It really needs a combined approach.
Yeah,
Tech, law, education, individual vigilance, all of it.
definitely. So maybe a final thought for everyone listening to chew on. In an age where seeing or hearing isn't necessarily believing anymore, how does our whole concept of truth, how does it change?
Yeah, and what's our own responsibility in sorting fact from fiction online? How do we navigate this?
Something to think about for sure. As we all encounter more and more of this stuff, it really impacts how we need to consume information going forward.